Today we are talking about art direction. This will be a new playlist. We are not doing it with the previous playlist. Somehow we can arrange it and we can, add with the previous playlist. But the live sessions are more with examples, more elaborate. This is more, overview, ready to implement on, ready to work on, sometimes advanced stuff and mostly advanced stuff. So, you can follow these guidelines, but it is better that if you have gone through the technique. So, art direction, the thing is, when you are going through the techniques, when you have worked on this, when you have played with, the basic components, elements, arranging the visual elements, then you can relate to it even more, how the entire thing is happening. So, we will talk about art, design, and strategy and technology. You can use it, and science, obviously you are using it. Technology, if you have technology, what you can do with technology to tell a story. And you can use technology to build a world from scratch. You can use technology partially to build part of the world you are creating, part of the frame we have mentioned in the board sessions. With the set direction, you have the spatial space, you have the physical space, you have the visual space. So you have the space and how you are utilizing the space, and you have the time. Art, design, strategy, technology, science. Sometimes we create mood boards. Mood boards many people create, just to talk about the ideas, talk about the concept, so that you can guide the team and you have some idea what you are going to, create and show. But many people are doing it without mood boards. Sometimes you can prepare meticulous documents. Sometimes you have such a concrete idea about what you are going to shoot, how you are going to make a movie, that all these things are secondary. You are putting more focus on making the film, telling the story. So, creative direction and art direction, there are differences. And creative briefs, we talk about describing what you want. And, it can be something of few seconds, it can be a large scale production. Now, here, we are talking about large scale productions, or even if you want to make an independent movie, you can understand these things and you can do it in your own way, and you can learn from each and everything, and then you can do your study, you can do your exploration. But sometimes if you want to use the visual medium for creative industries, media industries, you can still learn things from this place and you can still implement, and what you will implement, that is up to you. But maybe you are into media, maybe you are into the creative industries and you want to venture into filmmaking. I don't want to mention that, but just now someone mentioned it. So, if you want to do that, you can do that. Otherwise, you are learning the thing. So, scene building. If I talk about Aristotle, Aristotle's poetics, skenographia, he mentioned, but generally we talk about scene building. So, when I talk about these topics, I hope very practical oriented approach and you can relate to it, because art direction is storytelling. We talked about costumes. Costume is storytelling, the way you are telling stories. We talk about art direction. Art direction is storytelling. Now you have creativity. Creativity being a big part of this thing. Creativity. You have to be creative, and you are generating ideas. And what I say is, no idea is bad, and this is an open space for different ideas. And it's a team effort. So we are focusing on collaboration, we are focusing on team effort and building the cinematic world. So different people from different disciplines, or maybe they are doing different works for that particular film, but they are building this cinematic world. And then it is the audience reception and engagement. When I talk about storytelling, you will see that emotionally they are engaged, emotionally they are motivated, you are evoking something, they have understood it. So how they are receiving it, that is also very important. But art direction, when I talk about art direction, creativity being a very big thing in this. And you are generating a lot of ideas. So different people, team is consisting of different people, different backgrounds, different personalities. They are coming up with their different ideas. So you can, do a lot of creative exercises, and you can have creative processes and exercises, and you can generate a lot of ideas. Then those ideas to imagery. It can be a photograph, it can be something like a frame, a photograph, a frame. Now for one particular frame, you are designing all these elements. Same thing, visual arts, visual communication, aesthetics, beauty, how you are arranging these things, and you are conveying something, you are communicating. Visual communication, very important. And if you have opportunity to make a movie, each and every day you are facing problems. You have to design the set, you have to do the makeup, hairstyle, costume, then the cameras will be there, actors will move around. And if you do it well, what you will do? It will motivate or transform the cast and crew. And it can be a one-time production, like a theatrical production, which is what you are doing on stage. It can be a Broadway show, it can be a theater, it can be a play, it can be a musical performance, whatever you are doing, concert I mentioned last day, or it can be shot with camera. Now, when it is being shot with camera, then what you are having is you have different things to play with. Why? I mentioned it just now. I will give you a hint. That is, suppose you have a 2-hour play, 2-hour concert, or 3-hour concert, or 3-hour play. You have it one time. It is happening once, and then you have to wait for the next show. You have to wait for the next time it is going to happen. But in cinema, you have a stipulated timeline, you have a budget, and if you are going for indie movies, you have more lenience. You can explore a lot more, and you have your own way to do the movie, and you are doing creative experiments. Nobody is telling you you have to shoot it within these stringent conditions or timelines or budget. But still, if you are going for the festivals, you have to do some planning, because this is the time the festival is happening. So you are doing your pre-production, you are doing your production, you are doing your post-production, and you are making the film ready so that you can do the best possible film, make the best possible film, and you can take it to the festivals, in a respectable way. But coming back to the creation of the entire thing, why I talked about art direction? Obviously, when we are talking about cinema, we are talking about art direction. There is art direction, because from the moment you are taking the camera, from the moment you are looking at the actors and placing them on screen, and from the moment you are designing the costumes, whatever they are wearing, if you are serious about it, there is some kind of art direction involved. Creativity, art direction. That is the reason you are trying to tell a great story, and you have the script and you are visually representing it. Ideas to imagery. Now, this ideas to imagery, if I talk about, art direction is giving you a lot of scope to experiment with. And you can be very meticulous, as I mentioned, but still you have to understand one thing. The literary text, or the text you have, or the script, that can be represented in many ways. Now, when an art director is looking at the script, he or she is interpreting the script. Now, a lot of ideas. Then how he or she will represent the script, a lot of ideas again. Then ideas to imagery, how you are visually representing it. It can be one particular frame, a photograph. It can be few seconds, advertisement, the commercial campaigns and all these things, how you are going to do that. People can do that. Here we are sticking to what? Great films, big films, 1 hour, 1.5 hours, sometimes documentaries too, 2 hours, 3 hours. And the more the duration, you will see, you have a lot to play with. Responsibility, opportunity, and you have so much to experiment with. Because each and every frame you are shooting, people are composing the frame, people are doing motion, movement, and how you are arranging the visual elements. Art direction, you can play a lot. And creative direction, I won't talk about it here. We will talk about when we talk about media. But team coordination is very important, because, I think in management playlist, I talked about management or something related to production. Coordination is important because logistics, physically you are moving equipments from this place to that place. Now you are building a set. Sometimes you are building a static set. Sometimes you are building a movable set. You can move the set, There can be wheels, there can be other things. The way you can move the set according to your convenience. But a lot of planning involved. How the team will coordinate, how you will coordinate with different kinds of people, It is like the creative people are there who are looking at the visual aspects, visual communication, aesthetics, how you are going to communicate. The director is in charge of everything. and the actors, cast and crew, they are waiting to give their best performance. They are waiting to shoot it, or whatever they are supposed to do in the best possible way. Then there are other people as well. Now, since we are not talking about those people here, but they are there, so people who are involved in the management and the production, they can look into all those things, how they are doing their job, so that you can do your creative job in more efficient manner. Because one day you have to shoot this thing. So they are doing their job. When they are not doing their job, as a creative leader, you are telling them what to do, so that they know what they are supposed to do. That's why we talk about the professional attitude as well. Professional attitude, not just you have to shoot it within this time, this is the call sheet, the actors will come, you have to shoot these lines, this portion of the script. Not only that, professional attitude, when I mean by professional attitude, a lot of things people can relate to it. People who are really good professionals, great professionals, they can relate to it. But the thing is, you have a knack for storytelling, and great storytelling. That's why each and every time you are trying to tell the story in the best possible way. It can be a gaffer, it can be a best boy, it can be someone from the electrician team, it can be someone who is doing maybe a tiny little work on the set. But the attitude you are creating, the professional attitude, and overall the creative people, they are not only sticking to the timeline, not only sticking to what they have to shoot for a particular day, but they are also motivated by something more, so that they can do great work. So creativity being a big part of this thing, you are building scenes. Now scene, what is a scene? You are building a scene, a lot of things. If you want to say it as a word, it is a word. If you want to talk about a scene, it can be a huge thing. And you can experiment. There can be a big team, there can be a team of few people, but still you are working on building a scene, So never underestimate creativity. Then your approachability, then your expertise, then your trust you are building within the team, and together everything is working, and you are telling the story, and you are making the film. And art direction is storytelling, as I mentioned. I mentioned costume is storytelling. I mentioned fashion. When you are talking about fashion, style, costumes, you are telling a lot of stories. Style statement, you are telling a lot of stories. Art direction is storytelling. Why art direction is storytelling? Obviously you have some idea, but if you just create a set, and the set is complete, just as a set, it will be a set, and you will just keep it there, and people will be feeling a story, people will be relating to a story, and you are not mentioning words, you are not doing anything. The set is just there, built, and people are relating to it. It is art. It is communicating something. You are telling a lot of stories, sometimes abstraction, sometimes you have narrative, sometimes you have a mix of different elements, but you are telling a story. Now, when it is part of a film, you can contribute a lot, So, concept, critical thinking, analytical skills, you are describing what you want, then you are building ideas to imagery, then you are capturing all those things we talk about. Functional and beautiful, very important. Functional and beautiful, because the beautiful becomes functional. The functional elements and what makes it beautiful, aesthetics. Quality, you are focusing on quality. And cultural aspects are there, you are communicating if the story is belonging to a particular culture, if the story is belonging to a particular place and time, you are capturing that with art direction. So you need to do your research, you need to go through art history, you need to research for the actors, for the scenes, and how you are going to build the world, how you are going to tell the story, and everybody is contributing. And as an art director, you have to be more meticulous, attention to detail, because sometimes what happens is, if you don't do your research well, you will put something in the frame and it will be distracting people from the audience. And if it is not that creative, because you are putting it for the creative purposes, if it is not like that, then people, especially the critics, will find flaws, because that is something that cannot be there. This is not relating to that particular place and time. So that's why you need to be very meticulous, no matter how small the job is. You need to be professional, expert, creative, and innovative, and willing to learn. And that is the fun we talk about. And creative brief to creative strategy direction, again creative leadership, so we don't talk about much. But what we talk about here is visual rhetoric. if you're using a camera for cinematography, if you are using art direction, whatever we are talking about, visual rhetoric, that's what we talk about. Visual rhetoric and the frame and the entire story, timelines, even when you are doing editing, how you are placing the shots, how you are arranging the shots, it is affecting the visual rhetoric. So you are composing, you are capturing, and then you are using movements, that is part of the capturing only, I consider, and you are arranging the elements in the editing table. Visual rhetoric, how you are doing this. And then public imagination. You are appealing to the public imagination. You are evoking the public imagination, to imagine. You are poking them to be engaged with the story. You are poking them to sometimes larger than life storytelling, because you are building suspension of disbelief. You are building a story, you are building a world, the diegetic world, and people are immersed in that story. They are getting transported to a fantasy world, and you are building the fantasy world. And if you are, why I mention that is why you call yourself a professional. You do a lot of work, you are spending a lot of time, many people are working, but if you are not meticulous about what you want to need for that particular story, how you want to convey for this, how you want to visually represent that, that particular story, if you are not meticulous about that, that can make a huge difference. And that is where expertise comes into place. Your wisdom, your expertise, your professionalism, or whatever you call it, your artistic skills, your artistic expertise, and your knowledge, that is where it can make a huge difference. Same idea can be represented into different films. That's why great director is needed, because a great director will give you the creative leadership. This is not right, this is wrong, this is not right, put it here, put it there. That's why we need those mentors. An actor-director relationship is a great relationship, So they can nurture, they can nourish other, we can play, we can have a lot of fun together, and we can tell great stories. Why collaboration is needed? Together we are working, team coordination is important, collaboration, all these things are important, and also eager to learn and eager to experiment, and we are pushing for the community. And again, you are getting inspiration from everything. You can look at a lot of paintings, art history. You can go through different time periods of, artistic movements. If I talk about, Baroque, Rococo, then, you can do many things, surrealism, then Cubism, then you can do avant-garde, and post-impressionism, impressionism. You can go through all these paintings, sculptures, artworks. You can get inspiration, and you can build your own set. If you are building on a set which is not there yet, then you have to do a lot of work. Then you can poke your own imagination. You have to build this world, so something is not there yet. You are working on a movie which is a science fiction, maybe, which is talking about a story which is going to happen. It's a world we don't know. We can relate to sometimes, because we can relate to the characters, and it can happen. There is a possibility, or maybe we are enjoying that we can be a part of that in future. But to create it, it takes a lot of expertise, and there are great people who have created it over years. And there are great people who are still working on it, and we are still going to expect a lot more. We are still going to, have a lot more in near future and future, because that's why we are doing movies. That's why we are doing movies, and science, technology, art, commerce, then storytelling, and everything is coming together, and performances. Unforgettable performances, great art direction, great costumes, great makeup and hairstyle, great stories, great ideas to imagery, great ideas represented in film. So we can do a lot more in cinema. We can do a lot more in cinema, and sometimes you can adapt from a different medium to cinematic medium, and you can play with it a lot. And if you don't know what is art, then what is the point talking about it? That's why you need to put the effort. When you have put the effort, we can talk about a lot of things. You can ask a lot more questions. That's why put a lot of effort. Do the hard work. Then these discussions will mean a lot more. These are not just words. These are something much more than that.